we are going to become the Ocean Avengers! Here, take a cape.
Okay.
I am Habitat Man because 99% of the Earth's habitable living space is in the ocean. That'd be like if your entire school was filled with water, except for your desk. Because of this, 75% of Earth's animals live inside the ocean. That'd be like if your freshman, sophomore, and junior classes lived in the ocean, while only the seniors could live on land.
I major in O2, and 70% of the world's oxygen comes from the ocean. This means that we have to save the ocean, because instead of being able to take a breath like this, it'd be like taking one through a snorkel.
Captain Fishy here to tell you that over 50% of the world's population depends on seafood for a major source of protein. If we don't take care of the ocean, it would be like half the cafeteria not eating its lunch.
I am Major Fun because we all know that the ocean is the most fun place we have around. You can go to the beach and go tan and make a sandcastle. Woo! Okay, so not only is the beach and the ocean really important to have fun, but it's also where so much of the economy comes from. Think about it like this. 1 in every 6 people have a job that relates to the ocean. That's like 5 of you, if it's a class of 30, work for the ocean or do a job that relates to the ocean. Evan,
Yes, Keila?
wait. I mean, this is a great idea and all.
I know, right?
But it's not gonna work.
What?
We look crazy. I mean,
Well, I can't-
superheroes?
Well, that's what you feel.
Yeah. We should make a movie!
Oh my God,
that's
yeah!
a great idea.
Ready, set,
Action!
Do something fun.
recycle a ton.
Ouch!
78 when it's hot, 68 when it's not.
Trap that carbon, plant a garden. Don't be a hack, use that bag. So, we keep hearing all this stuff about climate change, but I want to go out in the field and see what other people have to say.
Hey, that's a great idea. Why don't we go videotape some people and see what they have to say?
Yeah, let's go out in the community.
Let's do it.
And what is your definition of climate change?
What is my definition? An increase in the amount of temperature that we see in the summertime and more moisture that results in more adverse conditions in the winter, like snow.
Maybe like global warming.
Like global warming? What does that mean?
That the Earth is heating up.
Any significant change in weather over a long period of time.
Climate change is any kind of change in the weather of the area.
Sunny and then it rains next day.
It seems to be hotter here. Much more dry, humid.
Different change in the weather over a long period of time.
I thought it was great that we got to hear from everyone in the community.
Yeah, but I think some are still a little confused.
Well, maybe we should explain to them what's really going on.
I have the perfect idea.
Here is the Earth. It is the 3rd planet from the Sun. It has a protective coating called the atmosphere. The atmosphere is made out of 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, and 1% other gases such as carbon dioxide, methane, and argon. Some of these gases, like carbon dioxide, water vapor, and methane, trap heat in the atmosphere. That is why they are called greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gases are important because they make our planet habitable. The gases are always changing and moving. For example, animals such as deer and penguins add carbon dioxide to the atmosphere by digesting food. They also add carbon dioxide when they die and decompose. Plants, such as trees and flowers, pull the carbon dioxide back out of the atmosphere through photosynthesis. The ocean also acts as a sponge to pull carbon dioxide and store it. This is a well-balanced cycle. But now we've added people to the mix by using fossil fuels to run factories, cars, and homes. Too much carbon is being added to the cycle. Trees are made out of carbon, so when they are cut down, They add more carbon to the atmosphere. The plants and ocean cannot keep up with the amount of carbon that is put into the cycle, so the concentration grows. This is similar to wrapping the planet in a warm blanket.
So now I feel like I know the basics of climate change.
But how does that relate to anybody around here in Wilmington?
You know, that's a great question.
Let's go do some field research and find out.
Well, here we are going over to Bald Head Island on the ferry named Adventure. I think that's a pretty appropriate name considering what we're going over here to do. Do you like hurricanes? Well, neither do I. That's one of the reasons why barrier islands are so important to our coasts. Not only do they protect us, but they also provide habitat to some of the most unique species in the entire world.
As sea level changes, the island will actually roll over itself. These are not stable systems at all. They're all sand. And so as sea level rises, the island will actually retreat. And what's happened geologically is that rate of retreat has been slow enough that the forest has been able to move with it, essentially stay ahead of it. Now that global climate change is happening so rapidly, the forest is not going to be able to do that. Okay? The sand, the force to drive the island back will be faster than the trees can actually move. If you're looking at a barrier island system, for every foot above sea level, there's 40 feet of fresh water below the sand. Okay? And that ratio is standard. Okay? What's happening is you've got essentially a pile of sand with fresh water floating on top of the seawater. As sea level rises, that fresh water will be forced up and flood the roots of all the trees and kill them. So the trees are not going to be able to retreat fast enough, and they're going to be flooded from underneath. The forest is actually it's under pretty serious threat from global climate change.
So essentially there could be spiders and other types of animals out here that are unknown to science.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest issues that happens is people think of sea level rise, it's a nice steady process that's happening and it's moving up. And that's true, but that happens almost at a rate that's so slow as that people can adapt to it. It'll happen, people realize, okay, the beach is getting smaller, there's erosion, either we add beach or next house that's built, we move it back. Those things are actually pretty easy to adapt to, but the biggest issue is going to be, as you can think of, is not only is it a slow rise, but every time you have storm surge, it's going to be greater. So when you have hurricanes come through, you're going to have a storm surge that's much greater, and all it takes is a little bit. I mean, what's a good sea level rise versus a bad sea level rise? It just has to be that much. It just has to get underneath the house and into the house. Most damage is done on the ground floor. So what they'll say is, the predictions I've seen is that what we call the 100-year flood or 100-year storm surge that happens once every 100 years, in the next 20 or 30 years they'll become 2 to 3 times more frequent. So we'll have these big storm surges more frequently. And that'll be a big influence from climate change. If sea level rose 2 feet over the next 10 years, think of all the houses that would.
Wilmington beaches are a main attraction to both locals and visitors. Due to sea level rise, our beaches have begun to deplenish. This is an inevitable reality that coastal communities need to plan for today before our beaches are washed away.
Keela Sweeney here with Captain Doug Springer of the Wilmington boat here in Wilmington, North Carolina. And we're going to ask you some questions today, if that's okay. What differences have you seen in like plant life and animal life, as well as like in the water, in the past years?
Well, we've seen a lot of change. Just recently, over the last 3 or 4 years since I've been back on the river. Our river is getting much more salty. In fact, this year we saw a river full of sea turtles. We've never seen really sea turtles here before. We're seeing more porpoise here and just a lot more saltwater species of fish as well as plant life.
Well, you can think of it as that already happened, or say that's already happened, but then you add the sea level rise on top of it, so there's potential for it to get worse. If that becomes more salty, then that makes it more difficult for us to get drinking water. You know, some people are arguing or making the argument the last couple of summers we've experienced that we've had these huge dry spells. It gets really dry, then all of a sudden we'll get a really large rain. I don't know if that's actually true, but that's the type of scenario that will happen in the future. You go for a really long time, you have to spend money to water. My water bill went through the roof this summer because we were constantly watering. but then you got that 20 inches of rain in one shot. So those are the type of things that they're talking about.
When we went to the longleaf pine forest, we explored many unique habitats home to endangered species. Because these organisms are restricted to such small local environments, any climate changes will have significant impact on their survival.
This is the breeding home of one of our rarest herps in North Carolina. Reina capito, Carolina gopher frogs.
It was really interesting to learn about the issues we have in our area.
You're right, it really was, but I wonder if other places have the same problems that we have.
We should encourage the audience to find out.
We challenge
You
to find out what's going on in your community and make a difference.
But don't worry, it's not too late to help make a difference.
We have some suggestions for you to help save the planet.
And change the world.
Well, I mean, you have to think of it, when you want to take action, there's two things you can do. You can take adaptation, where you actually adapt your, livelihood to whatever changes are coming down the way. So if you think of it that way, is how we plan and how we live along the coast. Do we let people build on the coast? Something like that. That would be one option. And then the other is mitigation, is how do you actually cut back on whatever's causing the global warming, which more than likely is going to be CO2. And so the big thing there is reducing your carbon footprint. So the more people that can reduce their carbon footprint, the better. That slogan, think globally, act locally, that's the best thing, is small actions that people take here but add up over time. And if you think that, some people might be frustrated that we're not making headway, but if I look at over the last 20 years or 15 years, a lot more people are aware of it, a lot more people are recycling, a lot more people, just doing things like taking those reusable bags. There's been a lot of progress, and those things add up over time. Really, the more public transportation, the more you can bike, the less driving that you do. That's because you can think of is that, at least in the U.S., transportation is probably one of the biggest ways that we add to the greenhouse gases. So taking buses, cutting back on the amount of times you use your car, making sure your car is tuned up, making sure you don't have a lot of stuff that you're driving around with all the time. All those things help. That adds up. And it saves you money too, which is another thing.
Yep. We opened the surf shop in the cafe. We actually wanted to give back to the environment and to the community. And so since we're in the ocean all the time, we're surfing and we're out and about, we really wanted to be conscious of what we were putting back as a byproduct of what we do.
What else do you do in your shop to cut down on your carbon footprint?
We use corn-based to-go-ware, which is a big proponent for us, especially being on the coast. I think one thing we find, in my experience in general, is that coastal communities are more inclined to be green and green-oriented because they see the immediate impact in their waters a lot quicker than you would if you lived necessarily in the city. So we use as much to-go corn-based product as we can. The primary reason for that is so that if it ends up on our beaches, especially in the summertime, within 6 to 8 months with light and heat, it's going to totally disintegrate and break down.
That's probably the easiest one, just going to-go product. I mean, styrofoam, as we all know, is one of the worst things out there, and there's so many places that still use it. And it's because they're just used to doing that. It's just habit, and it is a little cheaper, but I think it's more habit than anything, as it is with most people that are older than you guys that are my age and up. We're not as educated as you guys have been growing up. I think the best thing people in their households can do is think before they use something. I mean, just think about the effects of what you're doing, and if there's a smarter way to do it. And there's so many new ways out there. I mean, think about what can I do to help limit my footprint in the world.
Do what's right. Turn off the light.
Reuse your bottle for those who waddle.
Don't be a slug.
Pull out that plug.
Pick up your trash. We don't want dirty beaks and stickies on your feet. Pick up from the left and pick up from the right. And pick up all the trash and we'll all be alright. Recycle, recycle, recycle.
It was really neat to watch all these action videos, but I think we should take this just one step further.
Well, what do you mean?
Well, maybe we should get our audience to commit to making changes in their own lives.
How can we do that, though?
Well, let's create an action pledge so they can make their own by choosing actions that are important to them.
Maybe we should all make our own pledge too. That way they can see what we need and get an idea.
Great idea.
Now that I have a better understanding of climate and our changing world, I will do my best to offset climate change and protect our planet by taking the following actions.
Now that I have a better understanding of climate and our changing world, I will do my best to offset climate change and protect our planet by taking the following actions. I will bring reusable bags to the grocery store. I will use a reusable water bottle. I will also choose locally grown food at a farmer's market.
Now that I have a better understanding of climate and our changing world, I will do my best to offset climate change and protect our planet by taking the following actions. I'll go vegetarian once a week, I'll plant more plants, I'll take shorter showers, and I'll think globally and act locally.
Now that I have a better understanding of climate and our changing world, I will do my best to offset climate change and protect the planet by taking the following actions. Setting my thermostat to 78 degrees when it's hot and 68 when it's not. Encouraging people and restaurants to buy local seafood, and conserving as much water as possible.
Now that I have a better understanding of climate and our changing world, I will do my best to offset climate change and protect our planet by taking the following actions. I plan to begin buying more locally grown foods in my home, as well as making the effort to think before I use energy by unplugging my electronic devices when I'm done using them. As far as impacting my community, I plan to try to organize a beach sweep to help members of my community learn more about protecting our planet.
Now that you have a better understanding of climate change, it's your mission to help make a difference in the world. You can start by writing your own pledge and just making small differences in your everyday life that will ultimately have a positive impact on the environment. And make sure to visit our website to learn more about the Coastal America Project on climate change and to see what we are doing, as well as to learn about more ways that you can help.
My name is Dustin Chambers, and I'm a student at Isaac Barrett Early College High School. I've lived in Wilmington my entire life. I began to take an interest in this project because I love going to the beach and going fishing, and I hope that others will begin to take an interest in our planet and begin to protect our environment so that we can preserve our water.
Hi, I'm Keela Sweeney, and I'm a junior at Isaac Barrett Early College High School. And I first wanted to get involved with this project because a passion of mine that I have is photography. And I love taking pictures of all of the beautiful nature and stuff that I see, whether it be here around Wilmington or when I'm on vacation in other places. And when I found out about this project, I wanted to help raise awareness so that other people in the future would be able to photograph and see the beautiful things that I've had the opportunities to see.
Hey, my name is Evan Lucas, and I go to Isaac Barrett Early College High School. I'm a Wilmington native, and the reason why I really care about this project is because I don't think that many people understand so much about climate change and how important it is. You know, our little guys here, like these fish, they really rely on what we do and actions that we take on our environment. If we make positive actions, then they get a positive outlook on life. If we take negative actions, however, negative things can happen. So it's very important for us to make really positive outlooks. I think that if we start to make a change today, the change will replicate through other generations.
Hi, my name is Jessica Lama. I am a student at Isaac Barrett Early College High School, and I wanted to be in this project because I want future generations, my kids, your grandchildren, to be able to come out and see beautiful water and go to the beach and be able to see the beach without pollution. And that's why it's up to us to make a difference. So I'm up for the challenge. Are you?
Go. Twinkle, twinkle, little lighthouse.